There was one thing that the CIA intelligence people always made clear, which is you cannot trust the Russians.
Russia's continued war against Ukraine is just one of the latest big global moves from Moscow. So what do these moves mean, and what could be next?
The situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security.
That's just one of many reasons Russian President Vladimir Putin has given for invading Ukraine 3 years ago. It's also just one of the major global moves made by the Russians, including repeatedly violating NATO airspace, interfering in global elections, and cozying up to some new allies.
His main goal is to undermine the United States of America, to undermine democracies in the world.
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
That promise has not materialized, and while President Trump has often touted his friendliness with Putin, Putin has angered the U.S. president at times.
We get a lot of thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Everything I know about Putin, both from intelligence as well as my own experiences, is that Putin cannot be trusted.
While Trump has met with both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky separately, he has attempted to get them in a room together.
We need to give Putin an off-ramp, some way to get out of Ukraine. I don't think he's going to get that from Donald Trump. I mean, Trump wants him to come to the table and make some sort of concessions. And, of course, the big problem there is you got to have Zelensky make concessions, too.
Tonight, scattered over hundreds of miles across Poland, the remains of Russian drones shot down by NATO forces.
Poland, along with Germany, Romania, Denmark, and other NATO countries, have seen Russian drones fly into their airspace.
I do not believe it's an accident whatsoever, that these are intentional incursions.
Putin is going to use these different chess moves in order to test whether or not there really is a willingness on the part of NATO, on the part of the United States, to stand up to him.
NATO has pushed back with things like Operation Sentry to boost NATO's posture along the eastern flank, and as you saw, have shot down some Russian aircraft.
The United States and NATO countries have to stand up and draw a line on Vladimir Putin. This is not a time to back off. This is not a time to pretend he's not the threat that he is.
All of this has clearly gotten the attention of other NATO members in the region, like Finland, who shares an 800-mile land border with Russia.
We can see from, for example, from Pokrovsk at the moment in the East Ukraine, what is the result if the fighting starts and the war starts, and there is nothing left. And that's the fate of the Finland. If that kind of, war starts and we are the first country on the NATO front.
When it comes to election interference, Russia has targeted at least all of these countries recently, including the last 3 U.S. elections.
Historically, Russia does interfere in the politics of its neighbors.
That's become a familiar sight as well. Putin spending time with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two attended each other's military parades, while China has given some aid to Russia in their war against Ukraine, and Russia has helped China with a potential invasion of Taiwan.
This war is actually very good for China. They're making money off it.
But how deep does this alliance go?
They don't do alliances very well. Autocrats are autocrats. They don't like to share. They don't like to build friendships. They don't like to rely on others, except, if it benefits them in some way.
I don't see the Chinese wanting to get involved in any kind of a conflict, but I do see them supporting the Russians against the West, because that plays into what they're trying to do.
So what is Putin's goal with all this?
His principal goal is to advance Russia and try to restore the old Soviet Union.
I think Putin is trying to make themselves relevant again. I talked to some people in St. Petersburg, and I asked them about that, and they love the guy, of course, because he's from there. And they said, no, he's bringing Russia back into the forefront.
I think it's mostly posturing to show NATO particularly and all its friends that it's not going to be intimidated. It's not going to back down.
Every expert we spoke with highlighted America's role in pushing back against Russian aggression. But what America plans to do is not always clear.
I would say in one sentence that at the moment the perception is that the United States is unpredictable.
There's that old theory that, if you pretend to be crazy and people don't quite know what you're going to do, that becomes leverage. Because you can basically use that to get people to do what you want them to do for fear that you may do something crazy. And there's something to that. I mean, I think Trump has been doing that ever since he was a developer.
The experts all agreed on one thing. The U.S. needs to maintain their alliances.
Every president, whether they were Republican or Democrat, pretty much had the same principles when it came to foreign policy. They had different views, different approaches, but they had some fundamentals that they all abided by. And that was the importance of U.S. leadership, the importance of alliances, the importance of maintaining strong military strength, and the importance of doing what's right in the world.
Maintaining the flow of arms and financial support to Ukraine is absolutely vital to the survival of Ukraine and to showing Russia that there is Western resolve, and it's there for the long term.
So what comes next? For the Trump administration, ending the Ukraine war is priority, but peace has been a tough sell.
There was one thing that the CIA intelligence people always made clear, which is you cannot trust the Russians. I can remember, the meetings at CIA where they would say, you can play nice, but deep down, you got to remember they're going to screw you if they get a chance.
And what's the next move from the Russians?
I think he has designs on the Baltics, but I think the NATO charter is going to prevent him from doing that. If he had this much trouble with Ukraine, there's no way he wants to take on NATO.
I strongly doubt that Russia is going to attack to Poland or to Finland or to even not to any Baltic states. Not now and not next year.
Whatever comes next, Panetta said continued cooperation and dialogue will remain important.
If you're willing to work with people, if you're willing to be involved, you can make good things happen. Otherwise, you're basically rolling dice. And rolling dice in foreign affairs is not a smart thing to do.
For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Keenan. If you want more on this story, download the Straight Arrow News app or visit san.com.